Hi, welcome to Duopoly Report. This is Steve Cavietes, and now part two of my State Senate series. And brother, there's going to be more. Let me tell you something. I was asking a friend just last night. I said, "Have you ever tried to rake a little muck, and you thought you had about like level 2 muck, and come to find out you got like level muck?" It gets crazier and crazier the more I actually look at the details of everything. But last time I was telling you about how we got from this here, what we look at, what's on paper, the 26 to 16 blue, and with the help of the 7 Donkeyphants of the New Mexico apocalypse, we're actually here. We're actually here, where they collude with the Republicans and form a majority. And I said I was going to name names. I'm going to do that and a lot of other things. But I'm going to show you how these Donkeyphants act like a virus in the state Senate. All right? So it's not just enough. Because if you looked at 23 to 19, then you would say, okay, well, it's even with the blues over here, 19 to 23, it's a little, they're in the minority, but it's still pretty close. So you would think, okay, well, I bet you that still there's a lot of haggling, a lot of wrestling. Not really. So here's a listing of the last few years worth of leadership, and it doesn't have 2018 on here for some reason. This came from the NM Legis website. But Mary Kay Papen was elected in 2013 to become the pro-tem of the Senate and has had it every year since. She's been a state senator longer than that, but after Tim Jennings lost his re-election bid in 2012, he was a Democrat from Roswell in an area that was becoming more and more and more red all the time. And probably only his powerful leadership position was saving him. And finally in 2012, it didn't save him anymore. And so when 2013 came, Tim Jennings wasn't here anymore. So there was like an open spot for the man, for the spot for to take over the pro-tempship. So you'd think there'd be a bit of a struggle about that. Well, Mary Kay Papen here, she's the one that became the pro-tem. Now, the Journal covered this back in 2013, the Albuquerque Journal. It says, Papen unanimously elected Senate pro-tem. Unanimously elected Senate pro-tem. But it gets better than that. So Senator Mary Kay Papen, Democrat of Las Cruces, was unanimously elected Senate President pro-tempore on Tuesday. Papen won the seat after establishing a majority coalition of Republicans, Democrats, and senators to back her bid for the leadership position over Senator Pete Campos, whom Senate Democrats nominated as their preferred pro-tem. So already this article is saying that Papen won, but the Senate Democrats had preferred Campos. Now, back then, the makeup of the Senate was still a majority of Democrats. It was 25 to 17 Democrats. But as it shows up here, it says Papen won the seat after establishing a majority coalition of Republican and Democratic senators to back her bid for leadership. So what that means is that even when the Democrats were getting together just themselves to caucus, that a lot of the Democrats said, Pete Campos, that's our pick. And Mary Kay Papen came in and said, yeah, no. I got 5 friends over here, and I got every single elephant on the other side of the aisle. They're going to vote for me. And that makes more than what you guys have without my 4 or 5 friends over here. So you can just take a hike, because I'm going to be the pro-tem. Now, so, that's really interesting. She formed her coalition and formed her majority, and so that means that she's going to go to the floor when they have a vote on the whole Senate floor for who the leader will be. She will win. She's counted the votes. She's got it. So the other Democrats have a choice here. They've got one of two routes to go. They can say, well, we're still putting up our person because we think that that person, Senator Campos, would be a better choice. We trust him more, and we might lose that floor vote, but we actually want you to take that floor vote so that those Democrats who vote with you and all the other Republicans, you Donkeyphants, can be outed so that we really know what the score is. So let's see what happened. The Senate Pro-Temp plays a key role in assigning members to committees. This is something I'm going to bring up in just a second because this is huge, and this is a part of the virus thing I was talking to you about. Where the majority of legislative debate occurs, the Pro-Temp also oversees Senate business when the lieutenant governor is available. Papin was nominated for the position on the Senate floor by Campos, who said Democrats chose to back Papin to maintain party unity. And we've heard a lot about party unity in the last few years, right? And this is 2013, and here you have leadership in the Democratic Party in the New Mexico State Senate saying that they're going to support Papin out of party unity. But Papin is the one that told the caucus to which she belongs to go take a hike. I'm going to go unify with the Republicans. So if you're unifying with Papin, who unifies with the Republicans, what is the party unity? Could it possibly be the duopoly? Is that the party unity? There's just one party. They just come in two flavors. I mean, that's pretty much what that statement is saying. This action today is being taken so that we act in unison here in the New Mexico State Senate, Campos said. This body continues to be a leader when it comes to legislation, when it comes to representing the state of New Mexico. Wow. So here's the committee's committee. So in the Senate, in the House, the Speaker of the House just decides who sits on all the committees. This is one of his powers. This is why the Speaker is very powerful. And that's why the Senate Pro-Temp is very powerful, because she gets to help create the committee's committee. And the committee's committee is made up of the Pro-Temp, which is Mary Kay Papin, the majority and minority leaders of the Senate. So Peter Wirth is the Senate Majority Leader, and Stuart Ingle is the Senate Minority Leader, the leading Republican. Then you have Mimi Stewart there, who's the Majority Whip. And then there is a collection of extra Democrats and Republicans. And if you add up the D's and R's here, you'll see that there are 8 Democrats and 3 Republicans. And that's looking pretty good. But listen to this. See, the problem is that there's a lot of Donkeyphants in the room, and that's by design. So honestly, when you look at who are the conservatives, the Donkeyphants, the ones who keep getting in the way of the kind of Democratic agenda that's like advertised at election time, the kind that tries to get your votes, well, we definitely have Mary Kay Papin. And then John Arthur, Dr. No Smith, who's been a thorn in the side of practically the entire legislature, but definitely the True Blues. George Munoz, Clemente Sanchez, Carlos Cisneros. Those 5 are the big ones. There's some other floaters, but also Richard Martinez is definitely on that list. And a brand new addition, the senator that replaced Howie Morales, Mr. Ramos, is definitely, he could possibly be the most conservative Democrat that is in the state Senate at this point in time. And then there's some other floaters, but I'm gonna just keep moving forward, just using these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, as if they were the 7 horsemen of the New Mexico apocalypse. These Donkeyphants, right? So when you take this committee here with its makeup and replace that list with this, and you bring those Donkeyphants together with the Republicans, it's now 8-3 against the other Republicans. That's pretty lopsided. And joy of joys, so this committee gets to decide who sits in all the other committees, and especially who gets to be the chair, vice chair. And the chairs of these committees in the Senate wield enormous power. They wield enormous power. They do not have to hear bills if they don't want to that come to their committee. They can sit on them for the entire legislature. They can, and they do that a lot, especially in the Senate where the rules are different. I think in the House that there's some forcing of action, but in the Senate, no. No. And this is the reason why the House can do all it wants, and if the Senate just stays the same way, then nothing ever actually gets done. So all the great things you hear out of the House that they've done and passed and whatnot go to die in the Senate at the hands of some Donkeyphants. So when you have a committee full of Donkeyphants, and this committee gets to decide who the chairs of the different committees are, what do you get? You get this. So here's the Senate committees and the chair and the vice chair of each committee. So Mary Kay Papin, chair of the committee's committee, but they don't do anything after the assigning of committees. That's the only thing that they do. And by the way, I've got a really interesting tidbit about that whole process, which is coming on another video. You're going to be shocked. Basically, I'm not going to tell you yet. You're going to have to watch my coming video on just the committee's committee. It's blowing my mind. I want to make sure I have all my information correct. So here we go. Clemente Sanchez, Corporations and Transport Committee, Chairman. Finance, possibly one of the most powerful committees in the entire Senate because it deals with the budget, just like House Appropriations and Finance. Senate Finance is been chaired by John Arthur Smith for God knows how long. It's been forever. And he rules it with an iron fist. And it's such an important committee that you'll notice the vice chair is also on the Donkeyphant list, Mr. Carlos Cisneros. Then we go down to Judiciary, that's chaired by Richard Martinez. Judiciary is also a big committee. A lot of, when you have bills of real import, bills that may change the face of the way we do law or the way that we proceed with things legally in this state, it's going to go to Judiciary. And so big bills, big, really game-changing, important bills will be heard and or killed in Judiciary. Then I put a question mark on Education, where William Soules is the chairman. William Soules is an interesting character, and I don't have him specifically on the Donkeyphant list. I got a question mark there. And I'll tell you that he's getting close to being nominated for it, because even before this legislative session began, he put out an op-ed saying, you know, like, I know we got a lot of money, but we need to be cautious and careful, and we can't get very excited over here. So that's not a good sign when the Democrats are parroting the Republican lines. And then there's one other big committee, super big, and that's Rules. Rules Committee governs appointments. So when the governor wants to appoint someone to someone and there has to be a confirmation hearing, the Rules Committee is where that gets done. Now you'll notice that Linda Lopez is listed there as the chair. Jeff Steinborn is the vice chair. There's no Donkeyphant stamp next to Linda Lopez. So this is an interesting case, and I'm going to be looking into it further. But when you look at certain tables from certain nonprofit groups, conservation voters, certain other liberal groups, many times Linda Lopez rates very high on their charts as being someone who votes the right way on things. And yet, there's a saying around the roundhouse that the Rules Committee is the place you send a bill when you want it to die. And that seems to be one of the functions. Certainly isn't a bill that I'm tracking right now that got dropped on the 30th of January. Still hasn't had a hearing. It's not on any calendar for Rules. Probably will stay there for the rest of the session. 60 days y nada. So this is being tracked. Also, the Ethics Commission formulation. This is a really big deal. The voters last year said that they want Ethics Commission panels for all of the different divisions of government. And so the state and the state Senate and the state House are charged with creating their own commissions, ethics commissions, and giving them rules. And the Rules Committee is where that's being heard. And there's been a bunch of criticism about the way the Senate Rules Committee has been handling this issue. They're creating a system that basically punishes whistleblowers and protects unethical senators. And it's a terrible system. And it also still hasn't made it through its first, through that Rules Committee. So there's a lot of suspicion here. We're going to keep tracking that because honestly, it's really weird. It's really weird. Why would the Donkeyphants give what most people think is one of the most liberal senators in the state of New Mexico chairmanship of one of the three super powerful committees in the Senate? Unless she's one of the deciding votes in the coalition. That's the only thing I can think of. If you have suggestions as to how it might be different, I'm all ears. I mean, I don't know everything. Comment below. If you have some other suspicions as to why Linda Lopez would be sitting on the Rules Committee when basically every other classic conservative Donkeyphant sits at the head of a lot of these other committees. This is crazy, folks. But this is what happens. So you take one person who wields a little power, it gets put into the committee's committee, then funnels it out to all the other committees, and now the whole flavor of your Senate has been set. This is why who the pro-tem is supremely important in the New Mexico State Senate. This is why, if you don't like who the pro-tem is, you need to stand up and fight for it. But it's not happening. In fact, this cycle was just the same as 2013. Unanimous. What are they afraid of? Why don't they fight? Is this what you expected when you voted blue no matter who? Is this the kind of action that, you know, you told everyone else that voting blue, how it would change things? Or how blue people operate? Or what it means, you know, in terms of policy, being blue as opposed to being red? Is that what you voted for? Think about that. This has been Steve Cavietes with the Duopoly Report. There's more to come on this. Just you wait. I've got a whole deal on the committee's committee. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, thank you for watching the Duopoly Report. If you liked the video you saw, please make sure to click the like button. Also, hit the subscribe button and click that bell to make sure that you get notified when I drop a new video. And if you really want to support this project and see more important information that New Mexico and other people need about what's going on in our politics that is never talked about, please support my Patreon page. All the links are down below.